Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Well. Here we are gathering again for the virtual women's chat. My name is Queenager, and I am the lead for an organization enjoying life fully. And tonight we have three women, in addition to myself, gathered to talk on the topic of queenagers, a word I've kind of coined to represent a grown woman status. And in that same conversation, we'll be talking about women of influence. So we're going to get right into the conversation shortly after we introduce ourselves. And I'm going to start with our guest tonight, and then we'll go to G and Brashay if you'll just introduce yourselves briefly.
Hi, everyone. I am Gwendolyn. Is there anything else I need to say?
Nope,
Hi, I'm okay. That's it.
that's sufficient.
Okay.
Hi
Hi,
everyone.
go ahead.
Hi everyone. I'm Brashay.
I am Gianna.
Okay, so as you may know, Gianna and Brashay are team members of Enjoying Life Fully, and our organization exists primarily to empower, inspire, enrich, and engage women, primarily from the age 16 till uh, any spectrum on adulthood, through life coaching, through mentoring, and through life mapping. And we do that in a number of ways, both through life coaching as mentoring, and events, as well as now this newer vehicle, a virtual women's chat. Our purpose in doing the well is to create a space for women to be able to have conversations uh, on topics that are relevant to us, topics that may be hot topics, but also some of those taboo topics, sometimes topics we don't want to talk about. And we hope that you find this enjoyable. Please feel free to share it with others, or let it be the conversation starter for you and your tribe and for your friends. And at the end, we welcome you providing us with feedback and comments. We look at that, we take it seriously, because we know we are just a small representation of all of the perspectives and experiences of women out there. So we look forward to hearing more information and inquiries from you. So tonight's topics, as I mentioned, is going to be about queenagers and women of influence. And our biblical point of reference is going to be something that I think oftentimes challenges women and sometimes confront us. And there's a lot of reference to being a Proverbs 31 woman, which for many feels unattainable or just too overwhelming to even consider. So we're going to just kind of extract particular verses, Proverbs 31, verses 25 through 27. And this is going to be our reference point for how we define, for the purposes of this discussion, queenagers and women of influence. And it reads, I'm reading this from the New Living Translation. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. When she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. So, ladies, I'm gonna be honest, just unpacking that a little bit as I'm reading it. The strength and dignity, laughing at fear for the future. She speaks words that are wise and gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. So, ladies, in order to just jumpstart this conversation, I want each of you to just select one of those areas and talk a little bit about what that means to you. So we have, again, the strength and dignity, laugh without fear of the future, speaking words that are wise, giving instructions with kindness, and watching over everything in our household and not suffering from laziness. So just jump in. Let me know which one speaks to you, and we'll go from there.
So I would say the one that speaks to me right now, currently in my season of life, is the laugh at the fears of the future, because I am in between looking for a new job, and it's scary, and I'm kind of just putting all of my trust into God, and I kind of just gotta laugh and say, God, it's in your hands. If you want me to have this certain job, give me a sign.
Mm, I love that. I love that. All right. Before
Yeah.
we kind of dig deeper, allow the other women to share what connects with them.
Well, what Gianna just said, she's kind of took the words out of my mouth. But that's exactly where I'm at with that scripture and laughing at the fear, at the future, because just as you said, Gianna, I'm kind of in that same situation. I kind of left the job. I have a part-time job. I left the job. It was a faith walk, but I knew it was God. And I've been, what I've been seeing even this week is just God has just been opening and closing and opening and closing. I'm saying, okay, Lord, which door? But I was like, Lord, you got me. So, I'm not even concerned about it, because I
Right.
know that it was him that told me I said, Lord, this is you. You're telling me are you telling me to leave my job? and this,
And then sometimes
I said,
that you gotta like question him and be like, is that
right.
really you, Lord? Like, yeah, I hear you.
Right.
So
Continue.
even though I know there was other scriptures, but what Gianna said it's kind of exactly where I'm at as well, Gianna. That's this season, exactly where I'm at, and it's just laughing at the fear, laughing at any fear in the future, because God got me,
Right.
He got us, and that's
Amen.
the kind of
Exactly.
thing that I'm good. So
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Rashay, any particular scripture for you? Any particular portion of the scripture?
The exact same one.
woo,
Okay.
For me, it's kind of when you get comfortable in life, but there's always, bigger and better things that you can achieve and requirements you can meet. But it's kind of like, I'm comfortable. Why should I have to do that? Why should I do that? So for me, it's, laughing. I mean, I don't know how I want to phrase it. I laugh about it, but I always know there's bigger and better things out there. So it's like, I'm laughing about it. It's there. So why are you just sitting and being comfortable?
Mhm.
So
Mm.
that's where I'm juggling now.
Okay. All right. And from my perspective, I think for me it really is speaking wise words. Oftentimes it's easy to offer your own personal perspective and experience, but I really want to step away from it being about me and being more about what I know to be God's plan, His will, and His purpose, and rest there. Not easy, because I feel like we are a society that have information overload just because of the digital access and how we're constantly fed messages and information. I want to speak wise words. I don't want to just be talking. I want to speak wise words. And so I'm kind of settling in that season of what does that look like and what does that mean? And sometimes that means being quiet, which for me,
Mm.
being someone who is expressive and verbal can be a challenge. So since we're focused on fear, I want to believe that we are, positioning ourselves to be women who are fearless. And so when you think
Mm.
of laughing at the idea of fear of the future, is there any model or example of anyone that comes to mind that you connect with, that helps you form whether it's a spiritual, whether it is an emotional, whether it is a professional idea of what it means to stand in this season?
I don't want to. I know the emphasis was taking it off of us, because you said some keywords, Gwenera. You talked
Mm,
about, even though we said fear, we talked about being fearless, but then the key thing that you mentioned that I heard was wisdom,
mm,
because even in experiences, God gives us wisdom. And so I
Mm.
don't want to take it. I want to probably come back and think about, I know there's a lot of people I've seen it model the wisdom, but I also, and growing up in Christ and how He helped me, um, I had to, even when I made the decision to leave my job, I had to use wisdom. God
mm,
said, I gave it to you already. Because do you remember before? Do you
mm,
remember before when you was forced out of your position and you didn't have anything, but you had me? I
mm,
mean, I've been in a situation
Mm.
where I'm like, Lord, I don't have anything. Like, I ain't got no money. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to lose my home. Like, this time around, God strategically did some things to me to say, you okay? Look
Mm,
at everything else. And what he
Mhm.
did was, it was just kind of a, I'm just sharing with all you guys, it was like a whole exodus on my job. It was just a whole group of us. You know, God led me and people followed. And but my issue
Mhm.
was, he positioned me to be okay. You
mm,
know, I'm okay. And I can just say, even with you, Gwinnera, once you just sent me a text to say, God said rest. God said be at peace. I remember you said that. And because I'm so used to being so busy and doing this, and I had two jobs, the stillness was like, okay, God, now I'm going stir crazy. It's been a little over a
mm.
month,
Right.
but I'm okay. It's just me needing to, okay, Lord, what else? I guess I need to continue to just be still because you're still speaking. But the wisdom he gave me was the timing, because when I left, it was like when I kept saying, Lord, is this what you're telling me to do? Didn't I position you to do this? Didn't I position you? Aren't you okay right now financially? Didn't I position you to do that? So that taught me or gave me wisdom. And I just think just modeling, I can just say other people, I can look at leaders or leaders in my church who, just seeing them in situations that it helped me, where I can apply that, you know, do you remember when, or somebody can remind me, do you
Yes.
remember what God already did? So why not now? So,
Right.
you know,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being transparent and
right,
painting the picture of your reality, of your reality. Um, so when we think of the faith walk, because I'm hearing particularly from Gianna and Gwendolyn, you know, the faith walk that you're on, the trust, the kind of relinquishing who you are and saying, Lord, here I am. Um, when you think about that process, and Brashay, please feel free to jump in as well. When you think about that process, what is it about yourself that you feel like you have to relinquish? If there was one area, one descriptive adjective that you wanted to use to describe something that it need to be less of yourself, what would you say as you take this faith walk?
For me, I would say being still
Mm,
and really tuning into God and His answers. Something I always struggled with. I'm always going nonstop. And I'm never just still, or even without my phone, and even just like putting
mm.
the phone down and just sitting here to try to, you know, get get right with God to find out what the answers are supposed to be.
So I'm hearing that may not be easy.
No, it's not at all.
Okay. So what are, I'm just going to hang out with you for a minute, Gianna. So when you talk about, you know, the being still and the phone, are there habits or routines you feel like you desire to create in your life to give God greater access or uh, to commune with Him differently?
Yeah, recently I've just been getting up earlier and having that time with him. Um, really to try to get some answers in where my life is going, and wisdom on the decisions that I got to be making. I haven't gotten my answers yet. I think I'm in a waiting space though, and I think God is trying to teach me, excuse me, patience.
Oh,
And
yes. Oh, so you're saying some key stuff here, Gianna. That
mhm,
waiting place and patience.
yeah,
So let's talk a little bit about patience, because I can recall a time um, when I would pray to God and ask for patience. And I just felt like I found myself in so many situations where I could discover how impatient I was as a person.
mm,
And so I've learned to be careful what you pray for, not to be scared
mhm,
of what you pray for, but to be careful what you pray for, because God is hearing and He allows life to create those spaces and opportunities for us to grow in that. So
right.
patience is significant all across the board in life. So, Brashay, do you have any areas you might want to share with us where you felt like you've been impatient and maybe moved ahead? And actually, I won't just limit it to
Mhm.
Brashay. Anyone can answer that. Any areas where you kind of ran out of the waiting patience and moved ahead, and what were some of your experiences? What was your discovery?
For me, I think when I have to make like a last minute decision, I go with kind of what's the easiest, fastest instead of actually sitting and thinking about, the pros and cons of, I guess, both roads. I'm like, okay, this is easy and fast, and I'll go to it. So I think that waiting period where it's like, okay, if I have to take, a day or 5 minutes, I kind of like a 2 second person. Okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go with it, and not thinking about the pros and cons of both roads. So
Okay.
I guess quick decision making, waiting, and not making fast decisions.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Gwen, anything you want to jump in?
I,
Don't feel
well,
compelled.
no, I would just say, because there's a lot of just, feeding off the ladies, all of you ladies, saying some key things. Um, that word patient, I've learned. I stopped asking God for that,
Me
but I
too.
asked
Me
him
too.
because
Me too.
because we know he'll give you the situation to
Mm-hmm.
make you, be patient.
Right.
And I'm learning now to uh, say, God, what do you want? What do you
Mm.
want? Like, and sometimes I get a little indignant with God, and I say, because the other issue is when the stillness, I want to not be, you know, let myself take over, my own flesh take over, and then, I want to control the situation. When God already said this, he said, okay, so you just don't get it, okay? So if I had to, when we talked about being fearless and applying faith, I have to remove that ability to try to control my life,
Mm.
to
Mm.
say, well, look, Lord, okay, I waited. Okay, so like, how long am I supposed to wait? Okay, and I'll get to a point that I'm at peace. Other times, okay, Lord, this is crazy, and then I'll start getting a little bit, and then He just takes me right back to that. Okay, then I get all excited. I say, oh, look at all these jobs, and all these things, and then okay, okay. I just wanted you to know, daughter, I'm on it. I'm on it, but I'm going to do it. So I guess really with me, it's really learning how to um, just be, not use the word patient, but just kind of say, uh, have your way, Lord. Or what is it that you want? Because I'll just jack it up with trying to be in
Yes.
control. So
Yes.
that's what I'm learning, that I'm learning that I'm not in control. So
Yes.
I just might as well just give it to him.
Mm.
And
You know.
so that learning not to be in control, that is a hard one, uh, particularly as there's a whole women's movement that's happening around us. And, the proliferation, if you will, of women, you know, rising and accelerating and excelling, that at times, uh, being able to control is rewarded. It is,
Mhm.
in the secular and professional world, it's rewarded when you can control and manage a lot. Those words are sometimes synonymous and not always interchangeable, but there's gratification in being able to do that. So it kind of brings us back to the scripture and the identity that God has gave us. God has created us
Mhm.
with, as to who we are. So, shifting the conversation a little bit, want to talk a little bit about women of influence, women who may have modeled some of the characteristics that we desire and we want to emulate. So, thinking about what you shared tonight, Gwen and Gianna, particularly on the spectrum of employment and career path, and then Brachet on the being still and moving outside of your comfort zone. Do you see that modeled around you? Is there any particular woman, and we don't have to use names, we can use characteristics or representatives, and it could be women throughout society or biblical, that kind of have modeled some of the characteristics that you desire to emulate? Or if not, what do you think are some critical characteristics as women headed into the next season that are necessary, that are foundational?
I can think of several women, and there's a woman. She's the CEO of Enjoying Life Fully, um, and she greatly inspires me. And she maybe she's not she's laughing, but she may not be aware of that. But in my years of a friendship with her, I've seen her as an innovator, as I've seen it, and it's just very inspirational, and even encourages me, and even what's the other word I want to use? Uh, Kind of pushes me to be more accountable in terms of, when someone knows you and they know what God is saying to you, and I appreciate that. So there is a woman from the CEO of Joanne who greatly inspires me, because I've seen her take that step of being an innovator and and it inspires me. And there's lots of women, but I can really say that she's my sister, my friend, but she's a great inspiration to me, and I want her to know that. So it inspires me, because I seen it in her, and I seen her as a go-getter, and I see her as a pioneer, and also the type of person who just says, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you going to do? When are you going to get this together? When are you going to do that?" And has called me to the carpet, because she understands me and understands the calling on my life, and calls me to the carpet. So I want to share that.
Well,
And
thank
she,
you. And I
I want to say
laughed
that.
because I wasn't expecting it, first of all. And sometimes we have reactions that we do to kind of,
Mhm.
and I probably laughed a little bit too, so I don't get mushy. Um, so thank you for that. And I'm gonna kind of take it off of me and talk a little bit about that, about who we surround ourselves with. So I think what you helped painted a picture for us, Quinn, is that even in this season, who are we surrounding ourselves that may inspire us, that may encourage us,
Right.
that may hold us accountable um, in the next towards the next season of life, and that's significant. I think I read a quote or a reference earlier today, and I'm probably paraphrasing, and it said something to the effect: if the people in your circle are not challenging you, you're in the wrong circle. And so I thought that was powerful because, as you said earlier, Brashay, that comfort and that complacency, it isn't healthy for us long term. Doesn't mean we don't need
No.
seasons of contentment. It doesn't mean that we don't have seasons where we kind of pause and rejuvenate and recalibrate. But there has to be that challenge, the accountability, the calling to the mat that we do for one another. So I think you've just helped us, Gwen, really gain a perspective on, looking uh, at who are around us, looking laterally. Sometimes we're always looking up or we're looking down, but we should be looking laterally as well, as who's standing shoulder to shoulder with us, who's in this with us. So thank you. That was awesome. I appreciate it personally, but I also
Mhm.
appreciate how it's going to impact others as they're able to um, gain and glean from that. Anyone else want to add something about characteristics that are important to you in this as you head into this next season, or a woman that's influencing you, or you feel like is inspiring you?
In my family, I definitely say my grandmother and my mom play a major inspiration role in my life. Um, my grandmother was an amazing woman, from, being a wife, working, cooking, cleaning, anything you can imagine, she did. And she was very blunt too. Like, she didn't play any games. And so when it came to my mother, she's humble about it, but it's still like, I'm not playing games. This is what it is. And so to me, that's kind of how I am now. Um, so that to me is a great example. Also, being humble, working and still juggling life at the same time. It's okay, to have downfalls. You get back up, you keep trying, you keep pushing. Um, so definitely my grandmother and my mom
All
in
right,
my life.
that's good to hear. Good to hear. G.
I would say a lot of my friends, but especially my mother. My mother has helped me see a lot, especially the last 6 months. She's seen me be miserable, and she's just talked to me into basically looking for a new job and all that, and the dedication that my mother has with her work. She works a lot, and she comes home and is a mom, a grandma, and it's a lot, and I really admire her for it. Yeah.
Okay. I love that the family is playing a role because that's significant as well. And so
Mm.
I'm just realizing as each of you spoke that we all are mothers of daughters. So when
Oh,
we
wow.
talk about uh, the biblical reference, may I ask, how are we instilling that in our daughters? How are we conveying some of our experiences and some of our learnings in the rearing and nurturing of our daughters?
Well, I'm going to say role modeling, and my daughter, through our walk and, our struggles in Christ, our walk, she's seen her mother as a model, as a role model. She's seen the things, she's experienced the things that we've gone through as a mother and daughter. Um, and she's seen how God actually moved in our lives and how the things that God did. And it encourages her. She sees the peace of God on me, which gives her peace.
Mm,
And since you mentioned daughters and mothers, and all of you mentioned your mother, I can't even, I have to mention my mom too, as someone who is a role model to me. My mom, my aunt, we all have those women who went before us and
yes.
paved the way. My mom raised 8 of us. And it
Wait,
was like
8?
my mom raised 8 of us.
Wow.
I lost one sister, but my mom, but I mean, and she's still going strong. But I can go to my mom. I just even remember the beginning of the year. Um, we went to visit, me and my daughter went to visit my mom, and my sister, and my mom and my sister is there, and we just had a girl time. It was it
Mm,
was it was grandma, it was me, mama is me, my sister, and my daughter, and it was such a
awesome.
beautiful time of
Mm,
women, and we're just getting this knowledge from my mom, and it was a blessing, from a grandmother to me being a mother, and then me being the big sister, and then me having my daughter who also looks up to my sister. So it was just a blessing. So it's a wonderful thing to have that network of women who role model. And
yes.
by example, like
Mm.
I said, I see my mom's struggles, but I've seen her just a piece of God, and it gives me peace. And I can say with my daughter, she sees it. She sees the witness of what God has already done. So that makes her not fear her future,
Yes.
even if she's not where she wants to be yet. She sees the hand of God, and I think that helps tremendously when she says, "Oh, my mom's sitting home, but she ain't worried, so I ain't worried. We got this." So
Yes. I love
the
that. I
peace of
love
God,
that.
yeah,
Yeah. And the bridge is important. And that's what I'm
right.
hearing throughout is that there are going to be gaps in our lives, but if we have these individuals that serve as the bridges that help us see from where they came to where they're going, and our traveling those very similar paths, it helps download in us the strength that we
Mhm.
need, and where to turn. I'm hearing everyone mention what it sounds like that are women of faith. And
Mhm.
so faith comes full circle, that it brings us right back to kind of where we started about not having this fear of the future, being able to laugh at it. So as we're nearing our time, I tell you the 30 minutes always goes so fast. Wanted to ask kind of one question that may take us on a few little curves. If you would be able to make a statement about what it means to be influential as a woman, what would you say? What would be your statement about influential women and what that means and the relevancy of today? That might take a little time to ponder, might take a little time of thought. Um, what would you say about the capacity to influence? Because we all do, regardless of our stations in life, we are always influenced, whether we are aware of it or if it's unconscious. From going in the grocery store and being courteous to the cashier, or uh, acknowledging maybe someone who goes unnoticed in the workplace. There are ways that we influence every day. And it may be just going and traversing about our lives and conducting ourselves with decorum and with grace. So yeah, let's chat a little bit about what influential women look like and what that means to you.
I
I
feel
think,
like that.
go ahead.
I feel like that has a lot of weight to it, and as women, we feel like we have to rise above and beyond and not make mistakes. And a lot of people are watching us, but it's okay to make mistakes. um and that you just keep trying. As long as you put your all into it, that's all you can do. I just feel like that word has a heavy weight to it for women, that we have to rise above and always be on the top and never make a
Right.
mistake, and
Mm.
be better than the next woman, when we should be supporting each other. I don't know, I feel like it has a lot of weight to it.
Oh, thank you for bringing that point forward.
Yeah.
Um, because you're right. We do subscribe sometimes to the weightiness of uh, of how a word is defined. So if we were able to interchange the word of, instead of women, of influence or being influential, is there something that you think would be more palatable for women or more reflective of our ability to go through life living to our fullest capacity, honoring God and all of that, and but yet striving to flourish and achieve? Is there another way that you think we can reference it?
To get back to you on that one, I have to think.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. So
Well,
while the other ladies are
well,
answering the original question about uh, being influential, that'll give you some time to consider.
I
uh,
I'm kind of gonna bounce off Shay. I believe one is empowering other women.
Mm,
I feel like we don't do enough of that. I feel like everybody's in competition with so and so, and we should all just be supporting each other. Honestly.
all right, that's heavy. I love that. I'm a proponent of it, um, and I think there's a lot attached to how we see ourselves. Self-worth comes into play. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to be inspired by others, the ability to see others beyond our limitation, and to just be an encourager, I think are, gateways to that. But again, because we all think there's only one table instead of multiple tables, we're all trying to get to that same table. Instead of saying, no, there's 100 tables. I'm just going to sit at a table. It doesn't have to be the table. And in doing that, you inspire, you are able to hopefully uh, nurture relationships that will be empowering, that will bring others along. So thank you for that, G. Empowering one another, empowering other women, I believe is going to be foundational to how you influence. If you're not able to, empower another and feel competitive all the time, it's a very unhealthy and unrealistic way to operate. So thank you, G, for
right.
that. That was a lot said in that nutshell.
Yeah. And I'm going to just add, because I like what both Gianna and Brichet said, when we talked about being influential women. First of all, Brichet, you hit on a lot. You said, you talked about everyone striving to be perfect.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we need to understand is we're imperfect. You know, God said from the beginning, we're imperfect. And when we get away from that, and God allows us to be imperfect because he's doing a work. He's doing a work. He's constantly doing the work. So for me, my experiences of being imperfect, my imperfection is designed to help someone else. So even if I go through a challenge and I go through anything, um, God is refining me so that I can help someone else, so that I can influence someone else. My greatest thing in terms of being an influential woman is seeing other women get to their purposes in God. I want to see, even through my imperfection, even through my whatever God allows me to go through, it's to help someone else, and that's how I take it off of me. You know, so I love the idea when Brashay mentioned imperfection, because we're going to go through, we are imperfect. So I would just say strongly, if I'm not taking my hand, if I'm not, as they say, when I'm kneeling down, if I'm not lifting my hand to bring someone up, you
Yes.
know, if I'm not looking down, if I'm looking down, I'm looking down to bring someone up, to bring someone
Yes.
up along with me. So for me, everything that I do, or God help me in serving and being an influencer, is I want to see me, myself too, but
Mhm.
other women fulfill their God-given potential. And that's how I want to be of an influence. When I look at other women, when I look at younger women, when I look at my daughter, hopefully grandchildren one day, when I look at those things, I want to be able to be that type of influencer, um, for them to get to what God has designed for them to be. And that's how I
Awesome.
feel
Awesome. Good
about being
stuff.
influenced. Yeah.
Great nuggets dropped, lady. Great nuggets. So I'm going to close with a final statement from each of you. I love always tossing back to generations behind us. So if there was one thing, statement, uh, comment that you would like to offer to that younger woman, what would it be?
Repeat that, Gwinnett. One statement that.
Yes, one statement on our topic for tonight of being a queenager. And again, I coined that to just mean grown woman status as women of influence. All that we've kind of talked about tonight. If there's one statement you could make to a younger woman to encourage her, inspire her, maybe even encourage her or create insight for her, what would you say? Or you can paraphrase it in the sense that, what would I say to my younger self?
Oh, that's good. Well,
Uh,
what I would say to my younger self is that it's okay to not get everything done. Um, it's okay to not finish that goal that week that you were supposed to finish. That it's a new week and that you will start it the next week. Um, and maybe don't fill your plate up as much as
Mm.
you want to, because then you'll be disappointed when you don't get everything done that you need to get done.
Awesome. Good words, G. That's a whole nother conversation. I so want to
mhm.
tap into it, but I'm really,
I know.
I just had a conversation with a woman today about reminding her that saying no to others is saying yes to yourself. So I
Yeah.
think in a little bit you talked about that, G, when you talked about overfilling your plate. I'm going to
Mhm.
use the term overcommitting, or
Yeah.
sometimes even trying to satisfy others more than we do ourselves. So thank you for G. Thank you, G, for that. That's definitely a nugget and worth us digesting and incorporating in our lives. Anyone else?
I mean, I could say tomorrow is when we're talking about sometimes putting so much pressure on yourself, or about what I didn't accomplish today and what I didn't accomplish last year and what I didn't accomplish 2 years ago. Tomorrow is another day, and continue
Mhm.
to be focused that tomorrow is another day. Um, God has perfect plans.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know,
Mhm.
stay focused, but know that tomorrow is another day. If I don't just get it right today, tomorrow is another day.
Yes, I love that. I
Mm.
think that always I try and remind myself to give myself grace. And so that's what I'm hearing you suggest, Gwen, is that, the 24 hours will escape us, and to not allow ourselves to feel condemned or disappointed if we should not move exactly as we plan. That there, God's will, we'll have another 24 hours to get back at it. So thank you for that, Gwen. Very much appreciate that. Rashay, you have a thought
Um,
or
for
comment?
for me to be everything you see is not always peaches and cream. It may look good and you want that, but in reality, you have no idea really, what goes on behind the scenes. Um, so the quote, the grass may not, the grass, what is it? The grass may
The grass is not.
greener
Greener.
on the other side. Is that what it is?
Wait, I don't know. I
The
think I just
grass
messed
isn't
it
always
up.
greener on the other side, I think.
The
Right.
grass
Yes.
looks greener. I don't
Wait.
know. We
No.
we know which one.
It's one of them.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. And I'm Rashay, I'm so appreciative of you bringing that up, because in the digital society that we live in, I think we talk about this in almost every conversation because of its ever-present status with social media, with all that we're exposed to. It's so easy to fall into the trap of everything looking glossy and greener
Right.
for everyone else except for me. And
Mm.
the reality is that there's a lot happening behind the scenes, so to speak, to why we see what we see, and what picture is being painted. I had a conversation with a young woman recently, and this was one of the very things. She felt like she wasn't accomplishing, or just she was not flourishing in life in comparison to some other individuals. And one of the things I encouraged her, I won't take much time. I asked her, "Well, who are you comparing yourself? Are you comparing yourself to another everyday woman, someone else that is common to you?" Because if you look on social media and all you follow are entertainers and stars and
Right.
people of a different, I'll say, socioeconomic status, of a different relationship status, then you're comparing yourself unequally, because they may have nannies to care for their kids, they may have a chef cooking their meals, they have someone waiting at their beck and call to do their hair and their nails. So yes, when you see this picture, of course it's going to look great, because that image is what they have to present to continue the work that they do. No slight to that, that's their walk in life. However, uh, if you are living differently, very differently, and your socioeconomic and finances are very different, then you cannot compare to that, because you don't even have a common thread. You don't even have that. So yes, Brochet, realizing that what we see is not always what it presents itself to be, and that the grass is
It's
not
not greener.
always greener on the
It's
other
on the
side.
other side.
And even if it is greener, someone said, then water your own grass.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
I love that.
Water your own grass so it can be just as green.
That's
So
right.
I think that's a great place for us to kind of end, ladies. I want to say thank you for being transparent about where you are and sharing your experiences and sharing your thoughts and perspectives. And ladies, we welcome hearing from you. We welcome you adding to our comment thread and sharing your perspective, sharing your thought. All of our voices matter. All of us have perspectives, and certainly this is an opportunity for you to share that. We welcome reading it and responding to you as well. So before we end our time, we always like to share what's upcoming for Enjoying Life Fully. So, if Brochet, if you could share our upcoming events, that would be great.
Yes, Enjoying Life Fully will be hosting a bus ride to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., April 19th. You can find out more information on our website. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And also, May 30th, we have a teen conference called Unmasked. that will be hosting May 30th for teenage girls ages 14 through 17. That also is on our website as well.
Yes, so we have some upcoming activities. We welcome your joining. Our website is www.enjoyinglifefully.com. And as Brashay said, we are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So you can Google our name. I shouldn't say Google, that's not actually a verb. You can search our name, Enjoying Life Fully, and on any of those platforms, and you should be able to find us fairly easily. So again, ladies, we thank you for joining us. I look forward to our next opportunity to connect with you on our next hot topic. And if you are interested in joining us, you can also frequent or select our webpage. We have a connect tab. You can click on that, include your name, your contact information, and in the subject line, you could just indicate that you are interested in joining the well, and we will get back to you. We'll let you know upcoming topics, and we welcome you joining.
Mm.
No prerequisites. We just look forward to any and all women being able to participate in a virtual meetup or virtual chat on topics that are relevant to each of us. So thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. At this time, we're going to conclude our time in prayer, and we're going to ask Anna to lead us in that.
All right, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time on this call. Father God, I just ask that hopefully everybody got one thing out of this conversation. It was pleasing to you, Father God, and it was a great time of some fellowship and good conversation. And if everybody just took one thing out of this, it would be great. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
So, ladies,
Amen.
enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll connect with you again real soon. Be well.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
Bye.
Okay.